Linda, it's so good to see you back in the choir. Really good. Oh, boy, that was so beautiful. Wonderful. And you know, that's a judgment too, isn't it? Gosh, that was wonderful. That's one of those really good judgments. All right. That's the topic this morning, judgments, you know, and they are good and bad, are good and not so good. In the beginning of chapter 10 in Roger Teal's book, This Life is Joy, it begins with a quote from the Bible. In Matthew 7:1, it is written, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." Sounds pretty harsh, but what we find is it's really the law of cause and effect. Our thoughts and words go out from us and return to us in kind. And I love the way Swami Vivekananda put it. Our thoughts, our words, and deeds are the threads of the net which we throw around ourselves. The thread of the net we throw around ourselves. Because every action generates a force of energy that goes from us, and it comes back to us. You know, if you've studied this philosophy very long, you would wonder why anybody would negatively judge anybody else. I find it amazing in today's society that there is a lot of judgment. It doesn't take long to find it in the news or whatever, but that even that judgment can get to the point of hate. How icky is that? Would you want hate to come back to you? It's an amazing thing to consider. We're actually doing a number on ourselves when we project that kind of energy. For many people, having pessimistic thoughts, that's very common, or uncaring opinions about other people, it can almost become a life-limiting habit. And I say life-limiting because that negative energy comes back and it limits us. It limits our experience. You know, and our judgments can compile and also all of a sudden become a story that we don't like to give up, our story. But then we can keep retelling it, our story. And Roger Teal, he's got such a good sense of humor. He talks about this elderly spinster who died, and in her instructions for her memorial service, she said, "I do not want any male pallbearers. Because if they wouldn't take me out while I was alive, they're not taking me out when I'm dead." You knew the punchline, that's funny. I could sure understand that, but boy, what an attitude. What a self-righteous attitude. And it's sweetly reflected in this poem that he has in here, Author Unknown, but I thought you'd get a kick out of this too because you like to laugh like me. "I was shocked, confused, and bewildered as I entered heaven's door, not by the beauty of it all, nor the lights or the decor. But it was the folks in heaven, those who made me sputter and gasp. The thieves, the liars, the sinners, the alcoholics, and the trash. They stood there like the kid from 7th grade who swiped my lunch money twice. Next to him was my old neighbor who never said anything nice. Herb, who I always thought was rotting in hell by now, was sitting pretty on cloud 9, looking incredibly well. So I nudged St. Peter. I said, "What's the deal? I would love to hear your take on this. How did all these sinners get up here? God must have made a mistake." He said, "Well, everybody's so quiet, so somber. Give me a clue. What's going on?" And he said, "Hush, child. They're all in shock. No one thought they'd be seeing you." Oh my goodness, judgment. It's a good way to remind myself of where I make assumptions about people. Of course, here we all always assume everyone here is like me. We think alike, speak alike, and act alike, but that's not true. We're all individual human beings full of love and generosity. But the thing about making a judgment about someone is we really don't know what their motivation was. We have no clue. I can tell you by being a minister and a practitioner, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people, and I have no idea what they're going to tell me. Not a clue. So why do we judge? Actually, it's natural. Throughout history, there are times when we lived in caves that we had to make instantaneous decisions. Is this dangerous or not? Do I need to run or hide or what? But even as humanity expanded and grew, we're always on alert. Always on alert. Should I be afraid? Should I run? Should I hide? Is this person going to hurt me, or is this person safe? So we make those judgments so we can live in the world in a more safe environment so that we know when to act and not. There's a cute website called Tiny Buddha. I just love it. Martina Weiss wrote that we judge for many reasons. And for instance, we often do it when we don't know a person very well. We walk into an event, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of them this holiday season for you, and we start talking to people, trying to find out who could we talk to and have a nice, comfortable conversation with. And I always think about that, because, especially when I was single. Ram Dass, in his book, Grist for the Mill, explained it this way. If you're single and you walk into a party, you likely see everyone in one of three categories. Either potentially makeable, a competitor for someone we're looking at who's potentially makeable, or irrelevant. We create a lot of judgments before we even know anybody. It's interesting how fast that happens. And when we do talk to someone and we find that we can't identify with their belief systems, that's a judgment. And we go quickly into judgment when someone says something that threatens our sense of how we perceive ourselves, like, where did you get that dress? Something simple. And there's another tiny website that's called Tiny Buddha. Look it up, it's just adorable. Martina Weiss wrote how she used to judge people, and this is her story. I used to judge people, especially men, when I learned that they'd been unfaithful to their girlfriends. As soon as I learned about the situation, I'd feel resistance and anger, and it would build up inside of me, and I'd immediately get insulting them in my mind, and sometimes in person. I would verbalize this, and today I rarely react to that. I rarely react. I know not to judge someone because of their actions, because we all make mistakes. And there are some people who like to just be different, no matter what. I still don't find it appropriate or fair to cheat on someone, but I stop letting that define the worth I assign to that person. In the past, I also judged women when I felt threatened by those who are extremely attractive. Ever been there? Don't say anything. I compared my body to theirs because I feared if I didn't look as hot as they did, it was clear I had low self-esteem. The conversation in my mind went something like this. Look at that girl in that red dress. Oh, the curves, the shape, her tight body. Look how she moves. I'm sure she must get a lot of attention from the guys here, but it's obviously she's very arrogant. Interesting. She continues. Oh, no, that was the end of that story. But this inner chatter can be very quickly present in our mind. And what it means is there's something going on inside of us that we think is insufficient. Insufficient. So when we think we better be better than somebody else, here's that energy coming back to us very quickly, very quickly. So what did this lady do about it when she found herself continually criticizing other people? She said, I increased my self-love. I'm now more aware when I have this urge to judge somebody, because there's that split-second urge, and I feel that really I feel threatened. What would I feel threatened about? It's so embedded in us, that split second, something to think about. She said, in this awareness, in that split second, I can step back and ask myself, is my judgment really true? I almost always have to come up with the answer that no, it's not really true, because I don't even know this person. And just because she's beautiful in a hot red dress doesn't mean she's arrogant. I used to have a hot red dress. I remember that day. I just remembered that. Yeah, it was at least 40 years ago. So we continue to ask the question, why we judge. Sherry Leffenfeller, interesting last name, is a life coach, and on her website, she answers this question. She has 5 answers to this question, why we judge, and the one is, it's the way you feel about yourself. But when you judge someone, do you ever come to the realization that they're doing the same thing you do or you did? Oh my God, I'm judging them, but look, I did that last week, I forgot. Our judgment of others shows we have a level of insecurity in our consciousness. Number 2, you do it to make yourself feel better. Sometimes it just feels good. Here's an example that if you've been a mother that you might relate to. You're out in public with your toddler who is just on his best behavior. Lots of smiles. I love you, Mom. You turn the corner in the grocery store, and here's a mother with a screaming toddler crawling on the floor, stomping his feet. And I think, I'm a better mother than that. And it makes you feel better. But I'll bet there's not too many mothers that did not at one time have the toddler screaming on the floor and crawling, and it just screams at our heart, what did I do wrong? But it's just their way, you know? This is how they're learning to wind you around their little finger, I suppose. The third one is mind programming. We teach our mind what to think and to repeat it back to us. So when we look in the mirror every day and we go, oh, gee, I'm fat. Later in the day we go, oh, gee. But what if we said, I'm fantastic, I'm wonderful, I'm God's child? Boy, I'd like that coming back at me during the day. Positive affirmations increase our confidence. Now, we also make assumptions about people who are in the media, Hollywood, wherever. I don't know about you, I have to confess, when I'm in a doctor's office and there's a rack of magazines, I always go for People magazine. I would never buy it, but I always go there. I want to see who's who, who's dating who, who's divorcing who, and I don't even know these people, you know? It's just like, it's hysterical. It's hysterical. And you know, People magazine is the best worn out magazine on the rack. So it's not just me. It's not just me. It contains perfect examples of if you're thin and beautiful, you're a success. And then there's the photos of the stars that have added a few pounds. Have you seen those pictures? Oh my God, I wouldn't want to be in there. And they're almost considered irrelevant because they don't match up to Hollywood's values. Number 4, bonding with others through insecurity. When we feel insecure, sometimes we'll just talk about other people so that we feel better. And when you're in junior and high school, that's very common. They're trying to figure out, where do I fit into this world? Am I in the in crowd, the out crowd? Am I dressing right, talking right, all this thing? And then sometimes that continues into adulthood. So when we're talking to someone, have you ever noticed that somebody else chimes in, they want to give their 2 cents worth about how right you are and how awful things are? Well, it's an example of bonding between people in their negative judgments. I think like you do. We must be right. Number 5 is a lack of information. We can find ourselves quickly judging people out in public. At the line in Costco, Walmart, anywhere, a restaurant, grocery store. These are people we know nothing about. We probably judge them in the grocery store by the groceries they're buying. And then they use a CalFresh card to buy whatever, that's unhealthy. I mean, these judgments just... But we have no insight why they're doing what they're doing. We just may consider them wrong. Then we forget about karma. We're doing all this and we forget, wait a minute. Next time I'm in the grocery line, somebody's going, what in the heck is she buying? What kind of attitude or consciousness would buy that stuff? I hope not, but that's not what I think about in line. But, you see cause and effect, cause and effect. So how do we do this fewer times, I guess? How do we judge less in our lives? And I was thinking this morning, I think, well, we're all adults. We can just say, stop it. We can just tell our minds, stop it. Ron Dass always says, you know how you're progressing on the spiritual path when these little schmoozes of your past negative judgments come up to you, go, come on, do it again, do it again. You know they're coming. You can already feel them coming. And just at that moment, you can say, stop it, and replace it with something positive. We can say, these people are children of God, just like I am. That's called pattern interrupting. Interrupt that pattern. Stop it and replace it. Another way of doing this, as soon as you catch yourself, is giving someone a compliment. And there's no one in the world who does this better than Reverend Sue. She's always complimenting people. When she says, Mary, your hair looks great, I go, really? It's not what I thought when I woke up. But she's like that. She's always complimenting people. And it's a gift. It's a real gift because we all appreciate the childlike nature of all of us wanting to be loved. We just want to be loved. So here we are in November. Thanksgiving's coming up. Christmas, meeting and having family dinners and parties and all this thing. And, in case you're out at a party and there's this one person that's highly judgmental and they can't wait to tell you how bad everything is and how they're so smart about all of it, how do you deal with it? So I found this other really cool website, Tranquil Monkey. Somebody asked me after the other service, what was that monkey? I said, Tranquil Monkey. Oh, there's a lady there who wrote the wisdom of our spiritual teachers and how they would deal with this. Her name is Luminata Soviak, and she shares the wisdom. She said, when that happens, take the advice of Don Miguel Ruiz. Don't take anything personally. Wise man. Nothing others do to us is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream of what life is to be. So when you're immune to the opinions of others, you won't be the victim of their needless and often judgments. Another teacher, she said, think about Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, when another person makes you suffer, it's because they suffer within themselves. Their suffering is spilling over to you. Just like a wave, you can feel it coming. That person doesn't need punishment. They need your help. It's time to compliment them. They're sending a message. I want to be loved. Next is the Dalai Lama, who says, embrace compassion in all you do. Another opportunity for a compliment. And Lao Tzu said, everyone you come in contact with has something to teach you. Everyone. This is a great quote. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, it's a great secret that you might want to look into even more. That's what he called it, the great secret. And Kahlil Gibran, I've learned silence from the talkative, toleration from the intolerant, and kindness from the unkind. In other words, get into the habit of expressing your gratitude and appreciation for others, no matter what. And then Mahatma Gandhi, we mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are in our body world. If we change ourselves, we make changes to the outer world. So as we change our own nature, the attitude of the world changes towards us. And Gandhi calls us the divine mystery supreme. In A Course in Miracles, it says, when you meet anyone, remember it's a holy encounter. As you see them, you'll see yourself. As you treat them, you treat yourself. And as you think of them, you think of yourself. Never forget, for in them you will find yourself or lose yourself. So I'd like to end with one last reference, and that is our beloved Ernest Holmes, who wrote, "Thoughts of judgment, criticism, and condemnation must, in time, operate against the one who sets it in motion. There is no doubt that this is necessary to the well-being of society, that our civil laws be enforced against those who seek to destroy society." Honest to God, I never read that. I never read that in, 30 years of reading that book? And I thought, how did I miss that? There is no doubt, thoughts of judgment are necessary, no doubt. Let me start that over because this is really important. Thoughts of judgment, criticism, and condemnation must in time operate against the one who sets it in motion. Now we got that, cause and effect. There is no doubt that this is necessary to the well-being of society, that our civil laws be enforced against those who seek to destroy society. Personal condemnation can be entirely eliminated. Your own personal condemnation can be entirely eliminated. Well, these aren't truths that are anything new. They've been known for millennia. But perhaps now it's time to take up the challenges so that in every moment when that little schmooze even comes close, we focus our thoughts on love. And that's the greatest gift you can give everyone in your world during the holidays. So let's pray for that. The beauty of it all is that there's only one thing going on here, and that is this infinite intelligence with the power of love has created each one of us to be love. Yet the greatest gift from that intelligence is our freedom to do and be what we want to do and be. And as we get older, we realize finally that that energy that we've given out in criticizing other people and looking down at other people just came right back at us. And it's time to say enough. As we go out into the community this holiday season, look at every person as that child of God, desiring love, desiring to be respected, to be heard, to be understood. And if we have no time to do anything else, we can compliment them in some way, shape, or form. Just thank you for being in our community. Thank you for being in our life. Thank you for showing us a different way and to appreciate the infinite possibilities available in the universe. It's a beautiful dance we have with God, especially during the holidays, when no matter what's happening outside of us, the challenge is to be love on the inside, in great gratitude for all we have. So I accept that for everyone here today and everyone in the greater community, our families and our friends. Love is the answer. Love is the way. And for that, I say thank you, God. And so it is. Thank you.